Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be running through my version of the D-Rig, rig that I use or have been using for many years, and it's the rig that is my go-to. I probably use it for 95% of my fishing. So let's show you how I tie it up. So the components you'll need to make this rig: micro ring swivel, 15mm for shrink tube, anti-tangle sleeve, tungsten droppers, these are the extra large size, hook of your choice. I'm here using the curve point from Thinking Anglers size 4. Curve shank hooks also work really well with this rig. And then your chosen fluorocarbon. This is the OMC 20 pound blend. It's the best fluorocarbon I've found with this rig, and I've used many over the years. So first we'll take the hook and the fluorocarbon, and you want to create a little D as such in the fluorocarbon. Now this is for us to create the whipping knot initially, and this is probably the hardest part of the rig. Now if you're used to doing whipping knots, brilliant. If not, this is a way in which I do it, which I find the most easiest way, to be fair, because it can be a little bit fiddly. So we've taken a D, we'll create the D there in the fluorocarbon, and then with that little tag again there, put that through the eye of the hook, like so. And then what we're wanting to do is wrap this around the shank of the hook 4 to 5 times. At this point then, we can take out the tag, can be a little bit fiddly, and then we're pulling this as tight as we can, keeping it all within a thumb as tight as possible. And you'll see there, that's created the whipping knot. Now this is where I bring in my pliers. Not really necessary, I suppose, but I just like to really make sure that it's pulled down really tight. So this tagging, which we'll be cutting off anyway in a second, take that and give it a really good squeeze. There we have it. So we'll then take scissors, cut off this tag. So we've now got fluorocarbon coming down the shank of the hook, and we've got the whipping knot there. So what we're now going to do is move this whipping knot down, so that's quite tight, then usually have it just above the bend of the hook, so I suppose opposite the barb. At this point then, this is where we're needing to cut our desired length of fluorocarbon. Now my usual rigs are probably 7 to 8 inches in length, so you want to have a little bit of play. So usually I just use my rig board, or in this case my tackle box, and I take probably 12-13 inches just so we've got enough playing room. Okay, so now we've got fluorocarbon, and this is where we can create the D, but before we do that, we'll take the micro ring swivel, put it onto the fluorocarbon, and now it's as simple as making sure we're sort of following the contours of the fluorocarbon as well, and where it sort of curves around. We want to use that curve then for our D as well. So we're taking it back through the back of the eye, and you'll see there that creates a lovely little D. Now you can have this as as tight as you want, as big as you want, but my sort of preference is around about that, as you can see. See there. And it's as simple as now whipping down like a standard knot as you would do. Knotless knot, so tie down 6 times usually, back through the eye. Like so. And this is where you just pull the tools just to make sure it's all sort of pulled down tight anyway. We'll do this a little bit later, but you'll find when you do pull it down tight, the entrance or the exit of the fluorocarbon at the back can sort of pull around. So what we want to do is just make sure it's all in line and go straight down with the sort of shank of the hook. Okay, so that's that next step done. So at this point, I'll include my shrink tube. Now, a lot of people don't use shrink tube because you've already got that natural kick anyway, as you can see there. However, I just prefer having it. And usually you find, again, with the hook holes, they go in and they just don't usually seem to come out. They're usually sort of nailed. So that piece of shrink tube goes on. So again, 15mm usually of shrink tube. And what we'll do, we'll steam that down a little bit later. So that's now on there nicely. And at this point, we'll get our tungsten sinker. These can be a little bit fiddly as well at times. But we'll take the sinker there, pull that on. I'll bring that down like so. Now at this point, we're needing to create the, I suppose, the figure of 8 loop knot at the end. But I always prefer just to put the anti-tangle sleeve on first, just so you're not having to sort of thread it over the knot itself, especially when it's sort of a thin end. So we'll get the anti-tangle sleeve, feed that on at this stage, like so, just so it's all out of the way. So at this point, this isn't sort of the finished rig, we will move these about. And this is where then, to get my sort of desired length, so as we say, 8 inches. Now I usually allow an extra half an inch if I'm going for 8 inch. This time, like I say, I'll do between 7 and 8 inches. So we'll take it at 8 inches there, you can see, and we do the figure of 8 loop knot. Now, figure of 8 loop knot, creating a loop, going over. At this point, twist this section, and we then pull that. I'll put the D as such through, and as you can see there, you've got the figure of 8 loop. We're pulling that down tight. Now, moisten that as we go in. Get a puller tool, whatever one. Pull it down so it beds, and then it's a tag end as well that we're needing to pull down. So I usually do this with my teeth, just so it beds down nice. And at that end, we can then snip off the tag, like so. Move puller tools, and we can thread everything back up over it. So there we are, the anti-tangle sleeve over the top. We have the sinker, usually put that in the middle somewhere. Doesn't really matter, I suppose, too much, somewhere in the middle, just so it sort of pins it down. And obviously we will then steam that down. So this is one we've already done and steamed down. And as I'm steaming it, I put that little kick in there. You'll see that is the finished D-Rig. So what we'll then do is mount a wafter onto the micro ring swivel, and the rig's complete. Let us know what you think of this rig, guys. Give it a go, try it out. Let us know how you find it tying it. Also, if there's any comments, any feedback, always welcome. Please leave that in the comments. Let us know, and hopefully it can help you put a few fish on the bank.